Leslie's perspective. Before our wedding, Leslie was happy-go-lucky and eager to please. She felt good about our relationship and optimistic about the future. But soon after we married, Leslie began to change, or so it seemed to me. She became overly concerned about our relationship and talked about ways to improve it. If I didn't join in, she would feel hurt and rejected. Why has she so suddenly become emotional? I remember thinking. Why does she cry so easily now? Before we got married, she never seemed so impractical. Now, at times, she seemed irrational to me. How could flowers be so important when we can hardly make ends meet? I wonder. Her desire to talk about our relationship made me feel I was a failure as a husband. Doesn't she appreciate all I do for her? I would think. This is a very important aspect, right? There is a quote here by C.W. Neal, and he says, your willingness to accept the differences between you will allow you to complement one another in ways that make life better for each of you. I, like most men, didn't feel the need to have lengthy discussions about our relationships. I was content to know that Leslie loved me, I loved her, and that we were on our way to a happy life together. What's to discuss? Getting all worked up over this or that detail was a waste of energy from my perspective. Now, there is a subheading here titled The Bottom Line. The bottom line, recognizing how fundamentally different men and women are allowed me, Leslie, to see that Les courted me to get married. It is that simple. Once we married, his purpose of courtship was accomplished and he was ready to move on to the other productive activities. It turned out that his sweet nothings were not nothings after all, but whisperings calculated to persuade me to the altar. It sounds deceptive, but it is not. In fact, Les presumed that I was just like him and that we would both continue romancing each other only so only so long only so long as it had a practical consequence. After that, he expected us both to move on to the real business of living. Okay? I, Les, eventually realized that neither of us really changed after marriage, but our circumstances did. The goal that made me the goal that made me especially romantic was met, and the romance for romance's sake that Leslie valued was no longer a shared priority in the relationship. Because my energies were shifted to more practical matters of building a stable home with a secure future. It was hard for me to realize that Leslie did not see it exactly like me. She wanted to court and kiss for kissing's sake. And once married, she expected the same style of romance to continue forever. Okay, oh, ladies, when I don't hear them, they said the same style of romance after marriage is different too for men. Our differences are not unique, they are universal. Men are motivated by achievement, women are by relationships. So when gender differences emerge in marriage, don't judge your spouse as evil. He or she did not deceive you. It simply took marriage to reveal your differences. The differences you bring together as women and men are good and can be celebrated. As one body must have both a calculating head and a feeling heart, so one marriage is blessed with both gifts. We are fearfully and wonderfully made. So how do we celebrate male and female differences? By meeting the unique needs that are part of your spouse's gender. Typically, men try to meet the needs that men value, and women try to meet the needs that women value. The trouble is, your husband's needs are not the same as yours. Okay, your husband's needs are not the same as yours. And you cannot meet his needs by doing what you would do for another woman. In the same way, a wife's needs are not the same as her husband's, and he cannot meet the needs by doing what naturally he would do for a man. In essence, Both husbands and wife must stretch beyond themselves, taking into consideration what their spouses need, then providing it consciously. In the following two sections, we pinpoint a few specific needs may that you may not specific needs that you may not realize your partner has. By meeting these needs for your partner, you will bridge the gender gap in your marriage and reap countless rewards. And there is a little write up here, and it says men and women have different needs in marriage. Without knowing what your partner's greatest needs are, you will fail miserably in trying to meet them. What every husband should know about his wife. Sigmund Freud, the father of psychoanalysis, said, "Despite my 30 years of research into the feminine soul, I have not yet been able to answer the great question, what does a woman want?" Where Freud may not have been able to identify the deepest needs of women, but modern research has. A wife's most basic needs in marriage are to be cherished, number one, number two, to be known, and number three, to be respected. She needs to be cherished, a subheading. I can't understand it, Doc. Doug was talking before he even sat down in my counseling office. Lisa has everything she could ever possibly need. She doesn't have to work. She buys a lot of clothes. We live in a great place. We take wonderful vacations. I am faithful, but she's miserable. Doug shook his head and said, I just don't get it. We talked a bit more about his 7-year marriage and how he tried to express his love for Lisa. I am not the talkative type, Doc, he said. I show my love by providing the very best I can for her. This poor husband didn't realize that his love-starved wife would have traded all the clothes and vacation in the world for a little tenderness from him. Without meaning to, a husband can completely miss one of his wife's most important needs, which is to be cherished. This need is too often overlooked by husbands because we do not feel the need for it as deeply as women do. But that doesn't discount its validity. Your wife needs to be cherished. Your wife needs to be cherished. She needs to know that she is the number one in your life. If it came down to an evening with your buddies or a night with your wife, she needs to know that you would choose her, not because you have to, but because you want to.